Lists and for loop in Python. In this lecture, you will learn how to create lists. You are familiar with them, I'm very sure those who have done C programming, you are familiar with arrays. So lists are something like arrays only. So we have lists, but something like arrays, but little different from arrays. We'll come to that. Learn that for loop. We have already done iterative loop, looping statements, while loop. Now let's come to for loop to traverse a given list of items and work out problems using the for loop. So list data type. What is a list data type? List is a sequence of values. That's the simple definition of list. It's a sequence of values. The values in the list are called elements or sometimes items. Now, how to create a list is the question. The simplest way is to enclose the elements in square brackets. You put it within square brackets and automatically a list is created. For example, here numbers is equal to square bracket. You separate them with comma and this becomes a list of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4 items are there or 4 elements are there. Similarly, here I've got a list of strings. So names are there, 4 names are there. Again, each name within a single or double quote and separated by comma. So names. So this becomes a second. Now, as you see, unlike arrays in C, where you had only one type of data to be inputted. For the integer a square brackets 20, you said only integers could go in. But here, as you see, you have got a string here, you have got a floating number here, you have got an integer here, and you have a list also, one more list inside. So therefore, these lists in Python are very flexible, much more flexible than the lists in C or C++. So this represents an empty list. That content contains nothing, to which we can add items using some statements. Let us come to those statements later. So as you hear, new list is equal to numbers. I'm adding that, comma names, comma list. So all these things are added to this new list. So I create a new list of numbers, of strings, and here one more list of string and integers and floats and one more string. So this is how we can create something beautiful, something useful. So there are other ways of creating a list also, using say the range function. Now when you say range 1 to 15, there are going to be altogether 15 numbers starting from 1, or it's going to be 14 numbers starting from 1. In this case 14 numbers. Suppose it was just range 15, there would have been 15 numbers starting from 0 to 14. So now I can create a list out of this range. So that is, as you see, then print list, it will print, as I said, from 1 to 14. So 14 numbers are there. So this is how we can, one more way of creating a list. So syntax of range function. So I say range start and end number. Really it goes up to n minus 1. So start the first element in the list till n minus 1, as you saw here, 1 to 15. So 1 to n is 15 to 14. Suppose it was just range 15, there would have been numbers from 0 to 14. So this is a very important function which we will be using often, called range. So it could give us, there could be 2 arguments or just 1 argument. So let us see. So we have here numbers, so printing that. So names, I'm printing those names. We have already declared those lists, and here list, third list contains this, and new list is equal to, as we said, numbers, names, and list. When you do like this, just to print the name and enter, immediately you get the content of this new list. As you see, there is a list within this list, one more list, and the third list, and there is a fourth list within the third list. So this is the new list created using Python lists. Now about traversing a list, we have created lists. So how do we traverse these lists? And for that we use for command. We could use for command statement to traverse a list. Now what is the syntax of for command? For item in list. For item in list, so print item. So it will start from the first item, goes on till you come to the end of the list. As you see here, so list is equal to, I have created list here, range that is from 0 to 9. As you see, I'm printing here 0 to 9. So when you say print list, it is printed the content of this list, which is created using the range and then the list command. Now for item in list, so I print item. So what happens now? It prints 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9. It takes each of these items and prints from this list. This list contains from 0 to 9. So for item in list, print item. So it takes each item in sequence and prints all the items in the list. So this is how we traverse a given list. For example, we'll take the friends. We have got this list is there. So we print friends, all right. Now I can say print, again we can use, either you can put either say just friends, it automatically prints, or if you say print friends, also it prints the content of this list, gives the list. Now let us say for friend in friends. So print friend. So what does it do? It prints sequentially Ashok, Denzel, Leo, Sharon. So it prints all the content of this list. Earlier we saw how to print the content of a list of numbers. Now we have got the list of strings. Now we'll come one more important point in connection with list is slicing and indexing of lists. As you see here, this list starts with 0 to 8. There are altogether 9 numbers are there, 20 up to 13. Let us see now what happens. So suppose I say print numbers 3, that is 0, 1 to 3. Automatically it is going to print 5. It is going to print 5. Let us see now. So that is the element at index 3 is going to be printed, or you can get that. So numbers minus 1, what does it mean numbers minus 1? That means it is going to give you minus, this is called minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. It is going to print 13. 13. So please remember, index minus 1 gives the last element in the list. Yeah. Then numbers 1 to 4, 1 to 4. So that means 1, 2, 3. It is not going to really it gives you up to 4 minus 1. So 30, as you see, 30, 10 and 5. 30, 10 and 5. So it from index 1 till 4 minus 1 or n minus 1. Please note it is not going to print 7, but it is going to print up to 3. Third index 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got an idea about that. Number 0 to 4. That means it starts with 0, 20, 30, 10 and 5. 4 means 4 minus 1. So it is going to print only these first 4 numbers, and that is again 0 till 4 minus 1 index. So this is how indexing takes place and slicing. We are slicing here. Okay. We take one more example. Now numbers, when you say you space here colon 3, space colon 3, what happens? So it is going to print starting from the beginning up to 3 minus 1. Again same thing, starting from beginning. When you don't give the starting point here, it automatically takes it as the 0th position. So 20, 30, 10 up to 3 minus 1 index. So numbers 1 to end here. So it starts with 30 and prints up to 13, as you see, 30, 10, etc. up to 13. So from index 1 till end. Suppose you say 2 and then colon, it would have given 10 up to 13. Yes. So numbers 3 to 5. So numbers 3, that is 5, and 4, that is 5 minus 1. So 5 and 7 only are going to be printed. Always remember the last index minus 1. So minus 1, correct. So numbers starting from minus 2. This is minus 1, minus 2. Let us see what happens. It's going to print up to 40. So it is not. So it is not going to print this one. So up to here, up to here. That means 40 is going to be printed. So from except the last two elements, minus 2. So what will happen in this case? Minus 2, as you see, it is going to print these two. Minus 1, minus 2. So minus 2 up to minus 2. So that is why, interesting. So 12 and 13 are going to be printed when you say minus 2. Okay. So last two elements are going to be printed. 1 to minus 3. So 1, 30. So minus 3. 1, 2, 3 up to 25. Up to 25 it is going to print up to 25. So it's a good exercise. So as you see, starting from 1, except the last 3 items, as you saw here, except the last 2 items, elements, except the last 2, 3 items, that is what it is going to do, minus 3. So good exercise to understand how we can slice a given list using this colon and the particular numbers. Now, one more important thing you have to know is lists are mutable. Later we are going to come to tuple. Tuples are not, you cannot change tuples. Whereas lists are mutable like our arrays in C. So for example now, so you have got, this is the list starting from 20 to 13. Suppose I say numbers 3 equal to 90. Now 0, 1, 2, 3. That means 5 is going to be replaced by 90. So as you see here, 5 has been replaced by 90. That means mutable. That means you can change the items, the elements in a given list. So how long is the list? So how you want to find out the length of the list? Very simple. You say len command function numbers. So you give len numbers. It gives the length of the string, length of the complete list. So len command, small l, the number of elements in a list. Now about concatenating, joining two lists. Very simple. You use this plus symbol. For example, creating a new list from two other lists. So A is equal to 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I say A immediately prints the content of A. B, it prints the content of B. Now I say C is equal to A plus B, and you C immediately gives you the content of C. I have concatenated, I have joined two lists to give me this result. So the first list had 1, 2, 3, second list had 4, 5, 6. I have concatenated using the plus symbol, and immediately you have a list containing all the elements of both the lists. So thank you. I hope you have understood, gone through very simple concept and very important concept for all our processing.